Often, when we crack open our mail and we get our bank statements, such as checking or savings, we see something called APR and APY on our bank statements. What is the difference between those two? Well, today we will discuss what the difference between those two is. Probably as many of people and my buddy Frank that actually has been asking me that question. Frank here is a alligator. He's actually dead alligator. He is from Louisiana. He has been living in San Diego for about, what do you think? It's been 5 years? For about 5 years. And he's been actually asking me that question. What is the difference between APR and APY? Because the bank statements can be confusing. The definition that is on the internet that you could probably have seen is that the APR is the annual rate of interest that is paid on investment without taking in account compounding of interest within the year. So it's a annual rate of interest which can be paid on either your checkings, your savings, your credit cards, your CD, and other investment vehicles. Also, you can be paying APR to a credit card company or a loan. And what is the difference between APR and APY? Well, as we've read the definition, it is the APR is the annual rate of interest. What does it mean? Well, APR is the rate of interest that bank is using to charge to interest to your principal that you either gave to the bank, such as your checking, your savings, or you took from the bank, such as your credit card or a loan. So APR is a single rate that the bank is going by. APY is different. APY is actually, whereas APR is the annual percentage rate, APY is annual percentage yield, meaning how much you will get from the bank at the end of the time period, which can be a year, 2 years, or more. So APR, again, is the rate that they are going by. APY is how much total will be when you get it, when the time comes. So whereas some of the examples on the internet can be a little bit vague and ambiguous, here I like to put everything in layman terms so every person can understand. So if your APR rate is, let's say, 5%, you would expect at the end of the month, whatever you gave to the bank, your checking or savings, that would be come back as 5% more. But actually, in actuality, you are not going to get only 5% back on the interest. As your APR, the rate the bank is going by, is going to be 5%, your APY, your annual percentage yield to you, is gonna be 5.12. You know why 5.12? Because there is 12 months in a year. So what I'm saying is that APR is 5%. However, at the end of the first month, you see your whatever you gave the bank, $10 or $100, it generated already a fraction. So now the interest on the next month is going to be that principal that you gave plus that little fraction. After 2 months, it's going to be your principal plus 2 fractions. And each of those fractions is going to generate their own interest. So if it was, you gave $100, at the end of the month, you have already 101. On the second month, you have 102. And those fractions are generating their own interest. So that $1 already, the next month, is generating interest. In the next month, the 2 are already generating their own interest. So pretty much every month, besides your regular one, the interest that you generated is generating their own interest. So at the end of the month, at the end of the year, again, you are not receiving just 5%, but you are receiving 5.12%. So you see, APY is usually higher than APR, which is good for you if it's your checkings or your savings. As you probably noticed, that banks will show you with checkings or savings or CDs, they will tell you APY, because APY is higher. So they are trying to lure you, showing you the higher amount. With the credit cards, they will usually use words APR, because APR is the lower amount. So it just doesn't look as bad that the interest that you borrowed from the bank actually generated additional interest. And so now, at the end, the last example, if you had $100 and you invested it into, let's say, CD or checking or savings for, let's say, 10%, which is very high and that would not happen. But let's pretend, just for our example, if you put $100 on 10% for 1 year, 12 months, your APR is 10%. That's the rate the bank is going by. But your APY, how much you are going to get, is actually not 10%, but it is 10.47, which is a little bit higher because remember, every month that fraction, every month was generating its own fractions, and each of those fractions was generating its own fractions. So you would expect that you would have $110 by APR. However, your APY is going to be 110 and 47 cents. That is not a small amount, however, it adds up. Imagine if it was in thousands, it would be 47 additional dollars. If it was tens of thousands, it would be 470 additional dollars, just for that little difference in letters between annual percentage rate and annual percentage yield. The same thing, be careful, is with the credit cards. They tell you APR, however, what they're gonna take at the end of the year is actually APY. So, does it make sense a little bit more, Frank? You can understand it better? So, if you have any more questions or any other topics you wanted to discuss, put it in the comments and subscribe to this channel on YouTube and on Facebook and on Instagram. See you in the next episode.